Hello, everyone. My name's Amanda Lees Love, and I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. And today's guest is Lewis. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And nutrition is, I believe, probably the foundation of everything.
I totally agree. So, tell me, I love to start this question with every guest that I have, and I love to know how did you get into what you're doing now?
That is a loaded question because I'm 78. And it wasn't like I was a teenager and I wanted to be a shame guilt educator and a filmmaker and a counselor and write books. But anyway, that's what led me to where I am. I always wanted to be in the health field. I've always wanted to help people. And I started as like a nurse's aide when about 12 years old. And then I went on to nursing, a registered nurse. And I was very deep into the medical world because my husband was a doctor and I'm a nurse. And I helped start one of the first kidney hemodialysis units in the country in Jefferson Hospital in 1966. And then I worked in open heart surgery in 1962. And I saw myself as a forerunner looking back on my life, but I was always in the health field. And it was interesting because I wanted to know what was the latest thing to do, what was the most important thing to do. And my health started crumbling down in my late 40s. They call it the midlife crisis. Well, they were right. My health crumbled, but I didn't understand why. And my heart, I had a mitral valve prolapse, was they call it a leaky valve. Then I had migraine headaches for 30 years. That was horrific. I don't can't believe that I sustained that for 30 years, that migraine
That's a
headaches.
long time.
Yes. And my medical world just gave me more pills
Right.
because they said, "Oh, we understand what's wrong." And I said, "Oh, good. Tell me. I want to know because I can fix it." They said, "You have cluster migraine headaches." And I'm going, "Okay." He said, "That means you just have to take more drugs." So I with my problems, I my daughter had gotten ill and I met a holistic physician. God has this all planned, I think. So he showed me different things to use like MSM and other nutrients, and my daughter healed. And I went, whoa, this is another side of medicine that I have never seen before. So that's when I took the pills and threw them down the commode and gave up medicine. And I fell on I'll never forget this day. I fell on the floor crying because I love my profession so much, but they had not helped me. They have not supported me. They just told me, go home and take my drugs. And it was an incredible feeling of me being left alone because medicine was my whole life. I mean, I started this first kidney hemodialysis unit to help people. I was very, very focused in the medical world, and they couldn't help me. But they didn't say they couldn't help me. They just said, just take your drugs and go home. And it was appalling to me. And I said to myself, what am I going to do now? And I went, I don't know. And I always felt alive and always felt energized, but I was depressed. And then eventually things start happening in my life on the positive side. one of my friends called me who lived in Arizona, and she said, "Oh, why don't you come for a visit?" And I went, "Well, okay." I mean, my kids were in college, and I said, "Okay." So I visited her, and she says, "Oh my goodness, you look horrible." And I said, "I feel horrible because I had broken bones, had scoliosis. I walked sort of half bent with severe headaches and all sorts of problems. And my heart wasn't working. I couldn't breathe it well. So I said, okay. So I met this physician who was a chiropractor, but he was different. He was like a shaman healer, which I did not know about. I never investigated the holistic world. I'm total medicine, but they failed me. So my mind was open because I didn't see myself dying, even though they said you're just dying because your heart's not working, your liver's not working, and you can't breathe, and you got broken bones, and you're all, my whole spine was completely locked. Like I couldn't move my head. In order to look in the back, I had to turn my whole body. Like my head was not separate from my body.
Wow.
So I was like a stick person, like walking straight, sort of straight. Anyway, so he adjusted me and I went, oh my goodness, I can breathe. I took a very deep breath. He, he said, you're not going to die from your broken bones and your scoliosis, but your heart is not working. I go, tell me something that I don't know. I know it doesn't work because I can't breathe, but I could breathe after he adjusted me. And I went, wow, what else can you do? I was like, you're the first person I've ever met in 50 years that touched me and adjusted some bones and you healed me without medicines. I mean, it was like a shock to me, but it was like interesting. I mean, like if you can't breathe and all of a sudden somebody adjusts the bone and you can start breathing, you think, wow, this is cool. So anyway, I saw him a few times, but I had to go back to the East Coast. And then he said, I can help you. And I start laughing because no doctor ever said they can help me. They threw me out of, I was asked to leave a yoga class because I was really poor advertisement for them because I really couldn't bend. They actually asked me to, I cried after that one. They said, this teacher came to me, she says, oh, can you come here? And I said, sure. She says, I think it's best for you not to attend this weekend of yoga because you're not able to bend or move. And it's really not good for the other people to see that. She said, I'll refund your money. So
Wow.
I know, because I was stiff. I
Yeah.
mean, I can see what she's saying, but she said, no one can help you with that. And I cried. I cried so much because people were saying, no one can help you. You can't move. We can't fix it. And you can't take any more drugs. So it's like, but there's God. So I always had that in my heart. And so this one doctor said he could help me. And I laughed because I said, how can you say that? And he says, because I can help you. So I had to fly back to the East Coast. And 2 or 3 days later, my shoulder hurt so bad because he helped it, but I needed more help. That night, I had a dream where he came into my dream and adjusted my shoulder. I kid you not.
Wow.
And I went, wow, who is this guy? It was like, and I did feel better, but it wasn't as good as him doing it in person. So that happened 2 times. And eventually I went back again and I just knew that he was the only guy that can fix me, can help this poor body that's not working. And also, my daughter spent time with a holistic doctor in Sedona. She did some extra study with him. She was a physician, and she was studying with one of the holistic doctors there. So I met him as well. So anyway, I moved to the West Coast. I packed up all the kids' belongings and put the house for sale. And I said, I'm moving. They go, what? How can you move? I'm either going to, I'm sitting in this home saying, I can stay here and die, or I can move to the West Coast with this doctor who can do things that I don't know what he's doing, but I better. Should I live or die? I remember sitting there because if I stay here, I'll die. I know that. I'm a nurse. I can't breathe. Or should I go to this doctor and to sell the house and tell the kids? One was in sophomore in college, one was a junior, one was a senior. And they don't come home that much. They came home summer. So I said, I'll just stay there for the winter and come back in the summer for the children, but I can sell the house. So I did that. And the kids were all in shock and so forth and so on. But I said, I have a chance to live. So I moved there, and eventually the holistic doctor who I got to know, he told me about vegetable juicing. He said, you're extremely toxic from all the drugs you've taken. And he taught me to juice green vegetables, not fruits, green vegetables, like dandelion greens and carrots. And I would juice. I went out and got a juicer and I juiced the vegetables. And within 15 minutes, my headache was gone and all the pains inside of me were gone. Like I had no pain. I was like, whoa, I can't believe this. Then about 3 or 4 hours later, the pain comes back. So I said, I'll just do more juicing. So I would juice vegetables 3 times a day. And slowly, my body was starting to heal. It was like a miracle. And I worked with the physician. He helped me put my body back together. And I had brain traumas so badly that I couldn't go outside during the daytime. That's pretty severe.
That is severe.
I could only go out in the evening when the sun wasn't out, because my head was so crushed when I was a kid.
Wow.
I was thrown down steps and hit cement. And it was, my jaws were broken. And my C1, 2, and 3 were broken too. They broke my neck purposely. And I remember that, I finally remembered that I had a near-death experience. God sent me back. So I always had this spirit. And now I understand why I felt spirit so close to God, because I went there to visit God and God sent me back. I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Wow, that's incredible.
So people who break C1, C2, and 3 don't live.
Wow, that's
right. They die.
Yeah.
And I did. But God sent me back. So that's the power of God. Okay, now I still had problems with my neck because I couldn't move it, but I was alive and functioning. God is good. What else can I say? If you're meant to be here, you're going to be here.
I totally agree with that.
And anyway, so eventually I healed, but emotionally, I had all that shame, guilt. And I went to therapy and they did all the talk therapy, and I felt a little less depressed and didn't want to commit suicide, but I still was miserable. And then I learned about shame, guilt in a way that nobody else knows about it. And I learned that it's just an energy. It's like a parasitic energy that comes over us and changes all our positive emotions to negative ones, like a computer virus. Shame, guilt energy is like a computer virus. It messes up your computer and Microsoft Word and you can't get in and you can't do this and that and you want to throw it away. Well, we can't throw our bodies away, right?
No.
We have to heal them.
Exactly.
So I learned, yeah, that's right. So I learned how to address shame guilt as an energy and remove it from my body. And I healed. Shame guilt energy turns our compassion into depression, turns our intuition to anxiety, turns our passion into anger. But when we release the shame guilt, they turn back positive. I went, this is so cool. It's so much easier than taking each individual emotion. And so people wanted to know what I was doing because I healed, through physical work, through the chiropractor, but also the nutrition. That was vital. Interesting now, 22 years later, I still juice vegetables.
Wow.
Now, not every day, but every 2 days or 3 days. I go to the farm and pick up my vegetables and juice them. And if I don't do that, I use that vitality because it's fresh enzymes.
That's
So,
quite a story.
so it goes on. So now that I'm a shame guilt educator, and they're going, oh, we don't want to talk about that because nobody, talks about shame and guilt. We don't have it. We don't talk about it. Now the pandemic comes in and everybody's saying, oh, my emotions, shame and guilt. Lois, can you talk about shame and guilt? And I went, oh, thank you. Now I can talk about it because people are more aware of it. So now I'm becoming very popular because I talk about how to get rid of shame guilt, and it's nothing but a trickster energy. And excuse me for this, whatever that came up. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing now. And I make them, people can't see what I see sometimes because of that near death experience thing. So at 66, I went to film school to learn how to make film. And my films are out now about how shame guilt affects us because you believe what you see.
How, like, what do you find people are dealing with the shame?
Well, everybody's dealing with depression or anxiety or health issues. Uh, everybody has, something. And it's all related to shame guilt. It's amazing. You can take any emotion that's negative and bring it back to shame guilt, like bullying. Well, that's shame guilt because people feel not good enough and they have to bully other people. Procrastination, that's shame guilt because you're shaming yourself. So I teach people how to make friends with their inner critic because our inner critic is our shame guilt producer. And we can't throw him out because he's part of us. You have to say, hi, George, or whatever the name is. My inner critic is called King. And instead of shaming me and guilting me all the time, he took another job. He goes around and finding podcasts for me and brings me beautiful people like you. So he's got a job change.
Yeah.
But we had to negotiate to get that job.
Right. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves if we're dealing
Well,
with
of course we are.
yeah.
Everybody has an inner critic. Luckily, you only have one. Some people have two.
Yeah.
One person I held had three. Wow. I know.
That is it. Are they? It's it's them putting pressure on themselves, but it's other people. Do you
Well, of
find?
course. But if you
Yeah.
don't know any better, you accept all that shame guilt that people give you. And that's what I do. I help people to understand that stress is shame guilt energy. When you're stressful, We're fearful. That's shame guilt energy. We have like 1,000 different names for shame guilt.
Yeah,
And that's what I say to people. If you don't name it, if you don't name what it is, you'll never fix it.
do you find people struggle with like saying that they struggle with like shame and guilt, even
Of course.
expressing it?
Yeah. But people say, oh, I'm just so depressed. And I'm tired of going to therapy for managing my depression. I want to get rid of it. And I said, I can help you with that, because if you don't get rid of the shame guilt causing the depression, you'll always have depression. You'll always have guilt if you don't get rid of the shame. So that's the first teaching. Shame guilt doesn't belong to us. It's a foreign energy upon us, and it's a computer virus. Or you can call it a people virus.
Sounds like you're really helping people to realize they need that help with like
Everybody
getting,
does.
yeah.
Everybody. It doesn't matter if you're, president of a corporation, or wash the floors, or you have no kids, or you're healthy, or you're unhealthy. It's an energy that destabilizes you. Now, we have love energy,
Hmm.
and the love energy gives us what? Joy and peace and happiness and confidence and awareness. We're more intuitive, we're kinder, we want to share, we're lovable. Then you have negative energy, shame, guilt, that gives us depression and anxiety. I'm not good enough, procrastination. I'm unhealthy. I can't heal. I'm a jerk. I'm no good. Right? That's it. That's the story. And no one's talking like that.
No, they're not.
No, because I know I'm like a forerunner person.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and talking about it. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Is that I'm 78 and I can go skiing for free now, snow skiing, because they give it to people over 75, which is awesome. And I rollerblade with my grandsons. And I'm just getting better and better. I lost my gray hair and everything.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so
We
much.
can youth instead of age.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you're saying, oh, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you can't change.
Well, I prefer to get younger than older.
I love it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I'll put your stuff in the show notes.
Okay. Blessings.